tell the congregation what excites you about our ninth graders.
Well, for the past 2 years, Christine and I have had the privilege and honor to work with the kids on their spiritual gifts and help them discover them. And this past year, we had smaller groups, which is a cool, more intimate setting, so we get to know more one-on-one instead of last year when it was a big group. And so it was really cool to see them sit down and be excited to figure out what their gifts are and how that means in their life and how they're already seeing those gifts play out in their life. So what we did is one of our confirmants had the gift of prophecy. So I asked the person who had this gift to say, hey, how do you see this gift working in your life? Or even another big one for those kids was leadership in sports. Mm-hmm. Or like how they're showing their leadership skills by being a big brother or sister or maybe a captain or a teammate. And also service and giving were big. And it was cool for them to realize that giving is not just money. It's their time, it's their talents, it's just being present sometimes. And the one really cool one was we had a couple with the gift of mercy. And when I asked them the gift of mercy, they were like, well, what's that? And so I explained to them what it is. And one girl was like, I do that all the time. I'm always the friend that comes to. People come to.
Well, I got to follow up on the prophecy. How did they see that gift applying to their life?
Well, he was in a bit of a shock, but he saw that he could be able to interpret things and explain things that people could understand in a way they could understand it.
I think often we hear a prophet and someone who's predicting the future.
Yep.
In many ways, prophecy is a spiritual gift. Mm-hmm. Just thinking about how we interpret what God's up to.
Yep.
Totally wondering how people would use prophecy right now, especially with what's going on in our world.
And so one thing to keep in mind in that is when you hear that gift prophecy and hear that word thrown around a lot, just remember that those with the gift of prophecy take it in first before they speak anything and talk to God about it before they proclaim anything to others.
How has this walk been fulfilling for you? Where have you perhaps grown or maybe had some epiphanies, so to say?
Well, I grew up as a pastor's kid and a grandpastor's kid, so I've always been in the church, and I've taken multiple spiritual gifts tests, and my gifts have morphed and formed into a cool way, but my spiritual walk has been a challenge and a journey. And when I was asked to do this, I love to teach others. And so I texted Pastor John both times right after this, was like, dude, my heart's on fire. Like, I need to do this more. And to see those kids just light up and have these connections. I gave them Skittles too. This probably has something to do with it. But, and we even had a Zoom with two confirmants, and one wasn't even on the screen. And you could feel the excitement. They were asking me questions. And I was just even now talking about it. I'm like, okay, let's do this.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm excited because these ninth graders are the leaders and the future leaders, but the current leaders too of the church, right? They're the ones who are taking some initiative. They're asking these great questions.
And I would say, I'll show anyone in the group who wants to see it, but we had 21 with a gift of leadership. 21. Yeah, and one thing that I reminded them kind of with baptism is when we're baptized, we are given the seed or marked with the sign of the cross, and we're going to grow in there to our gifts and our spiritual life. And so ninth grade is so exciting because you get to make that change and make that choice that you want to grow into your faith more.